I'm sure, like you, many of you out there, and myself included, you do some kind of gardening. It might be outside flowers, it might be a vegetable garden, or houseplants inside. Both my mother and my grandmother were superb gardeners. My grandmother had a real special talent for it. You could send something down that looked like it was dead, and in many cases, she had the knack to bring it back. She would prune, she would trim, she would pull, she'd water, and she'd nurture that thing back. And most of the time better than it was before I killed it. But in any event, I try to keep my outside maintained well. Inside, I have somewhat luck with houseplants, but I've taken a keen interest in tropical plants, especially fruit plants. I've tried growing a banana tree, coconut tree. Usually those will make it through the summer. They like it out on the deck because it's hot and humid, but once they come in the house, it's not as warm and humid and they just kind of go away. I have an avocado tree about this high sitting between my sink and my stove. An odd place for it, but it's a happy little tree, so I just leave it alone. And I also have a lemon tree that I planted from a seed that's probably up about this high now. I know I'll never get fruit off of that lemon. We don't have the temperate for it, but it's a cool looking little tree. But some years ago, my mom bought me a Meyer lemon tree. And it came in, it was probably, maybe under 6-7 inches high. After a while, a couple little blossoms popped out on this tree. And then after the blossoms fell off, there were about the size of a pea, little green lemons. And I actually got a couple lemons off this tree over the years. I've had this tree probably about maybe 4 or 5 years now. This year, all of a sudden, this tree started blooming and blooming and blooming and blooming some more. And all of these blooms were popping out to the point where I asked Chuck, I says, is this thing expending so much energy popping these blooms out and trying to create fruit that it's going to do itself in? And I just let it go, and all of a sudden there were 12 or 14 little lemons all over this tree. And now I think we're back down to 3. It'll shed off so many of these lemons. And yesterday I noticed yet another blossom popped out. So in today's gospel, Jesus uses this metaphor of a gardener. And he seems to be a fig tree. It seems to be the choice in the Bible. But in any event, he takes it, he tries to explain what he was saying at the beginning of the gospel because it was kind of confusing. He turns around and he starts talking about things that are happening at the time. He mentioned victims of Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate had this real knack for cruel and punishment and torture that usually ended in death. And then he talked about a local disaster, a tower coming down on people and killing people. We can equate what he was talking about to today. We've had shootings, multiple shootings recently, and we've also had a number of tornadoes and floods down in the Midwest and stuff where people have perished. And he said, unless you repent, you will die like they did. Is he saying that we're going to have a tornado roar through or a flood wash us away? Absolutely not. And what does he mean by repent? When we hear repent, we hear something bad. It's always been that things, you did something bad and you must repent for forgiveness. When I was growing up in the Roman Catholic Church, we were told Lent is a penitential time. Lent is a time that you seek forgiveness for the bad that you did. You're looking for the negative and you're trying to take that negative and make it positive, and you're going to confession and you're trying to prepare yourself for Easter. Since I've matured, I've learned that repent is not so much penitence. It's not so much bad. Lent is not a time to focus on that bad. Repent means to me to change. In the last few weeks, we've heard Terry talk about going deep within yourself during the season. Going deep in your heart, rending your heart. Going as far deep as you can into your own being. Some other people have commented that they felt that rend meant that you were going to violently rip open something, go through, fix it, and it would come back better than it was before. I could look at many ways that I could do that, equating that with what Jesus is talking about in today's gospel. We're taking and we're pruning. We're taking and we're nourishing. We're taking and we're trying to take the wrongs in our life that we feel are keeping us out of focus, that are keeping us out of center. Anything that we've got in us that is not making us whole, I guess is a good way to put it. And trying to work on those things. We're halfway through Lent today. It's going by really quick. So when we have Lent and we have an opportunity to do this and go within ourselves and look at these things, we're not going to accomplish this in 40 short days. But we have an awareness of what it is that we're looking for within ourselves. And we can begin to work on that these 40 days and then past. And as we mature and as we change, we're always going to find things in there that need adjustment, that need change, that maybe need to even go away. It makes me think of a verse that I heard in Revelation some years ago. See, I make all things new. With God's help, we're able to work on centering, work on changing, work on making ourselves the better person that we want to be. As with my grandmother and her pruning and picking and fertilizing and such, and bringing back these beautiful plants, or that little lemon tree that I have at home that's expending all that energy to do the job that it has to do to give us fruit. All of us need to work in that same way. We need to take out what doesn't belong there, or adjust what doesn't belong there, nourish it through prayer and through going within us, and hopefully bearing some fruit. I may only wind up, before it's through, with 2 or 3 Meyer lemons this round. Or if I have cats, I probably will wind up with no lemons because they will knock the little pea-sized lemons right off the plant. But in any event, that plant did its work and it produced a little bit of fruit. That's all that this gardener is trying to do, is produce a little bit of fruit, and that little bit of fruit on the fig tree, and that little bit of fruit on my lemon tree adds much value to both of those plants. They're producing and doing what they're supposed to do. Let us go forward and try to produce just that little bit of fruit. Even if we lose that blossom or lose the other fruits, we're producing a little and we're changing a little bit as we go along.